Day 3 of May awareness for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, raising awareness, is misconceptions of EDS. And I'd like to read some statements to you that I've heard throughout the years from doctors, from people, in trying to understand EDS better. And I just want to clarify that when I say EDS, Ehlers-Danlos is a spectrum disorder, not static. So sometimes when we receive diagnoses, we think of them as just meaning one thing and that it's unique across everybody. So when we're given a diagnosis, it's the same for everybody. EDS is not the same for everybody. So EDS is a spectrum diagnosis, and it's not going to look the same from person to person to person. In fact, Ehlers-Danlos has 13 subtypes, and being a spectrum disorder, at this time, after 2017, there was a convention to reclassify the Ehlers-Danlos categories of the 13 subtypes. And what they determined in that was they split apart Ehlers-Danlos from a category called hypermobility spectrum disorders. They actually, people who work with both of these conditions, Ehlers-Danlos and hypermobility spectrum disorders, believe both of these syndromes to be on the same spectrum. So that kind of means that they don't really know what's causing both of these types of syndromes, but the hallmark of both of these conditions can sometimes be hypermobility, though with all of the subtypes of EDS, hypermobility does not have to be one of the characteristics of all of the subtypes of EDS. So you can have EDS and not have hypermobility is the gist of that. So with the hypermobility spectrum disorders, you would have hypermobility most of the time. Treatment is the same generally through both of those. That's why they call it a spectrum disorder. Okay, so when I say EDS, in my head, I'm also thinking EDS and hypermobility spectrum disorder. I've fallen into both categories at various times in my life and in my journey. So I kind of think of both conditions as being in the same realm and speaking on the same type of same subjects. Sometimes they're treated differently, but the knowledge base is applicable to both. It's when you get into the more rare types of EDS that you break off into more specific treatments and more specific characteristics. So a lot about raising awareness of EDS centers around understanding the differences between vascular EDS, classical EDS, and hypermobile EDS. Those are three of the most common subtypes of EDS, and it's important to know which of those three categories you fall into. And then they try to sort you out into hypermobility spectrum disorder if you don't fall into the EDS category. So let me read you a couple of the misconception statements that aren't really true about either EDS or EDS and hypermobility spectrum disorders. EDS is just hypermobility. EDS is just stretchy skin. EDS does not cause arthritis. EDS is rare. EDS does not affect multiple organs and systems. If you really subluxed, dislocated your joints, you would be in the ER. No treatments are available to EDS, hypermobility spectrum disorder. EDS and hypermobility spectrum disorder look the same for everyone. Everyone with EDS is tall or thin. EDS and HSD, hypermobility spectrum disorder, do not cause pain. EDS and HSD can be treated with collagen treatments or supplements. EDS and HSD affects only a certain age group, and you don't look like someone with EDS or HSD. Most all of those statements are incorrect. So a little bit of education really, really quickly. There are 28 known types at this point of collagen or connective tissue. They're classified by their structure and type, and they affect everything from your skin, your bones, your tendons, your ligaments, cartilage, blood vessels, eyes, even your teeth, skin, hair, heart, brain, liver, lung, corneas, vascular, anything, any system in your body usually has connective tissue attached to it. Connective tissue is made up of collagen, and we know about 28 types. We can classify about 28 types at this time. We don't know what causes the breakdown and the dysfunction. We just know that EDS and likely hypermobility spectrum disorder is a genetic disease. That means at the cellular level, your genes do not know how to make the collagen correctly. We classify the rare types of EDS genetically. We have genetic markers for those. This tells us how the collagen or which type of collagen is not being manufactured in your body correctly. So collagen is a protein. When your body at the cellular level is trying to break down the protein that you're eating in your digestive tract, it has to break it down. It has to reabsorb those nutrients, send it out through your body, and then restructure that protein to be built back up into an amino acid or a building block that your body can use. If your body genetically does not know how to reconstitute that protein or that amino acid correctly, your collagen that it builds for that purpose cannot be made correctly. You don't know which one of those millions upon billions upon trillions of genes at a cellular level are malfunctioning. We don't have the genetics at that level to know which ones are malfunctioning. We've isolated the 12 subtypes of 13 of the EDS to know which ones are malfunctioning. So out of 28 types of collagen that we know of, those are not even all of the types that are in your body. So we anticipate finding way more, okay? So there are studies going on right now. We've isolated several new ways of trying to identify hypermobile without just guessing that it's hypermobile EDS. They're working on a blood test, they're working on a genetic test. There are smart people out there that are working on it right now, and they're really good at this. Okay, so they're working over the next year or two to try and find that. They're trying to work on treatments that can help us be better. They're still not cures, okay? I'm not looking for a cure for my condition. I'm looking for ways to handle being more normal day to day to day. I'm looking for how I can eat my food and not have stomach pain and just go out and enjoy life instead of like having to stick close to a bathroom or wondering if I need to stick close to a bathroom or wondering about how I can go 4 hours without being hungry and having more symptoms. These are the struggles that I have. I can't leave my house in the morning without making sure that I have enough liquids on me that are not going to make me sick, or that I'm going to stay properly hydrated through the day because I may not be able to get to enough fluids at the correct time to take them in, or be able to get to the proper foods that aren't going to cause me problems later on. I have allergies that I didn't even know were allergies all this time that cause me to either have more skin irritations or brain fog, or like my body will literally shut down and put me to sleep. So I will be going fine through my day and I will hit 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I literally cannot stay awake and my body will shut down and put me to sleep. And the next thing I know, it will be like 6 o'clock in the evening and my family is like, okay, well, mom's not making dinner tonight. So what are we doing? I can't do that to my family every night. So I have to plan and plan and plan and plan, organize and structure every single part of my day to make sure I have all of these things set up. Okay, so there's a misconception that it's just hypermobility. You're just moving your joints or you're moving your ligaments a little too far. It's not just that. It's not just my skin. It is starting at the root of how my body handles the collagen and the breakdown of the protein. It is not just the pain that I experience all day long. Um, so these are some of the misconceptions. I just want to look at my notes really quickly because I want to give you some more information that maybe isn't just spreading out there. The fact that it is rare and it's not rare. So the 12 subtypes of the 13 subtypes, 3 are more common: vascular, classical, and hypermobile being the most prevalent. The others are rare. Okay, those are they're gonna be picked up genetically. So you're gonna have symptoms. You're gonna go to the Ehlers-Danlos Society online. They've got all of the subtypes broken down with symptoms. Symptoms you're gonna be seeing. You're gonna look through those symptoms. You're gonna see which category you kind of fall into to know if you're one of the more rare types. And then you're gonna go after genetics to see if that's you. After that, I want to put on your radar something that's not being talked about. It's called the PENTAD syndrome, PENTAD syndrome. Go look that one up. It is EDS, POTS, or dysautonomia, however you want to pronounce that. That's orthostatic problems with your blood pressure. There's a lot of those different kind of conditions that fall underneath that. Autoimmunity, MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome. If you're suffering from those types of conditions all the way around, also gastrointestinal issues, slow motility, slow digestion in your stomach, you're falling under what's called the superpentad syndrome or pentad syndrome. That's now starting to be recognized as like EDS is sitting over the whole category. Like they're starting to recognize. I personally have always felt that like EDS is not the global category. I think EDS is like a symptomatology of the global category. That's kind of why I like the superpentad syndrome title at the top, because EDS is like being associated with all these other conditions, but they're being interchanged. Also, EDS affects your neurological system a lot. So you're seeing ADHD, you're seeing autism, you're seeing neurological issues in a higher incident rate with EDS. So the odds are that you're seeing those kind of symptoms along with EDS is pretty valid. So you want to be looking at those kind of things especially with kids, because little kids are really, really hypermobile. They're super bendy. There comes a point when their classmates stop being super bendy, and they are, but they're also probably suffering to a more degree than other kids are. My daughter is starting to have migraines. She's starting to sit differently in a car. You're looking for kids who sit W-sit style on the floor. That's where they sit on the floor with their legs bent back at the knees. You're looking for hyper hip dysplasia in young kids. You're looking for a family history of hip dysplasia problems. Mother had hip dysplasia, daughter has hip dysplasia, granddaughter has hip dysplasia. You're looking for that kind of history through your family. You're looking for scoliosis. You're looking for kyphosis. Those are the kinds of things that might lead you to a hypermobility wondering. Then you look at your skin. My skin is pretty white. I've always been pretty fair-skinned. My skin is really, really stretchy, and they call it doughy, which is always, I'm going to say the moist term. Doughy has always affected me that way, but My skin is very soft. People want to touch me all the time because it's so soft. I have fingerprint problems. So when I touch things, computer electronics, it doesn't always recognize me. So my fingerprints, I can't grab things. My fingers slide off of things really easy. Certainly when things get cold, my hands just slide right off things. When I get into the water, my skin really wrinkles up and turns weird compared to other people in the pool next to me. Um, it's kind of interesting. I just take it as normal anymore because that's the way my body is. I'm I can just do a lot of these things. What else? Pain, lots of pain. I mask it well until I can't. And then when I can't, it's really bad. I can't really communicate. I stop talking and I have to go away. So that's what I want to leave you with today for misconceptions on EDS. You are going to comment on my video. You're going to ask questions. That's going to tell me where to go to next and tell you more about things. I've learned how to control some of my pain without medications. I've learned a lot more about my body and how it responds to things like that. So comment, talk to me about your experiences and your questions. I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I did major in math. I minored in chemistry and physics. So I'm a lifelong researcher, and I've lived with EDS for a lot of my life. I knew that I had it for a long time. I'm not afraid of it. I don't have it as bad as some people do. I'm certainly not skating through life without it. I'm certainly dealing with it a lot of times. So I'm happy to talk to people about it and try to help it be better. We're just all trying to get through this together, right? And learn more. So be careful with everyone around you and have a good May. And I'm going to finally leave my fellow faithful EDSers with a verse to think on with misconceptions of EDS, and that is Romans 8:28, and I'm going to read it for you. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. And there's a misconception in there sometimes. Sometimes we tend to fall into thinking that things work together for our own good on their own. And sometimes we know that's not always true. So have a good rest of your day. Hope you're enjoying your May Day. And I'll see you next time.